The Ghost is the newest TDX tower. You can make your towers invulnerable. You can use a drone to dispatch of strong enemies. A jack of all trades. Or is she really? Well, I'm here to put her to that test. Only Ghost, every game mode. But let's get a few rules out of the way first. 1. I can only use Ghost to deal damage. 2nd, power-ups are not allowed. Because let's be honest fellas, that'd just be cheating. And 3rd, I can use sport or economy towers such as EDJ, Commander, or Farm. Now with that out of the way, let the Ghost Chronicles commence! For the first match, I decided to do easy since it was, well, easiest out of the 5. I got in the match and placed the Ghost. And right out of the bat, Ghost made quick work of the early wave since she was a straight upgrade to the operator. Talk about power creep. For the first upgrade, I decided to get plus P ammo since it doubled her damage, which meant she could two-shot the zombies of this mode. A few waves passed by relatively easily, and I started saving money for the first 3x upgrade called Stealth Assault, which would give Ghost her special ability, Stealth. When Stealth, she would take no damage from a single attack, which would prove useful later down the line. Can we just take a moment to appreciate how strong Ghost actually is for her price? 7k for 70 DPS and stealth detection is insanely good. For comparison, Juggernaut costs a bit less but does not have stealth detection nor the ability to ignore one attack. It's a pretty good tower. After a bit more waves, I had enough money to afford the 4th upgrade, C7 Drone. This upgrade would give the Ghost her second ability, the Drone. You can deploy the drone anywhere on the map to have it do damage to enemies with 80 DPS. But the special thing about the drone is that it has high priority targeting, meaning it targets the most important targets, like Grenadiers and Disposalists. This would prove extremely useful later down the line. Aside from being an amazing ability, it also looks so sick. Like, have you ever seen a drone with a goddamn gun mounted to it? That's some cool tech. Anyway, the Ghost flew through almost all the ways up until I had enough money to upgrade her to max, which costed me 25k. And while not doing much more than simply reducing the cooldown of the drone and increasing general stats, it was still a nice upgrade to get. After that, I decided to test out the Ghost bottom path. This path trades this one-hit tank ability in favor of stealthing multiple friendly towers and more damage, but it's a lot more expensive. The first upgrade gives her more damage and range, but the 4th upgrade gives her a grenade that can stealth other towers, making them invisible too. So what if I throw it at a zombie? Will the grenade give the zombie stealth? Well, I tried it. It didn't work. Honestly, a missed opportunity to make the zombie turn stealth too. It would be a pretty funny way to cause some tomfoolery in multiplayer lobbies. After that, I then got the max upgrade, which costed about 36k, which doubled her damage and made the grenade last longer on targets. In my opinion, the top path is better since it can protect itself, and the drones have no limit, which means you can stack a ton of DPS anywhere. Anyway, we shredded the waves and I got to Plague Doctor. I used the stealth grenade ability to turn my towers invisible, but despite Plague Doctor being the very old man he is, managed to see through my invisibility and stun them out of their stealth state. But in the long run, it didn't matter in the slightest, as the Plague Doctor quickly died to the heavy damage of my Ghost. Overall, Ghost did really well, but of course, almost everything does well in easy mode. I would have to test the other modes as well. Intermediate was a vastly different experience since there were, you guessed it, bulletproof zombies. The bulletproof zombies literally negates Ghost's damage type, and the only way to bypass it is by using the drone, because the drone does not care about bullet resistance. But as you've seen the run later, I didn't really use it that much, and I instead opted for other things. Now, since intermediate was a fairly long mode, I decided that farm would be a great choice. I spammed farms for the next 10 waves. I then got a commander for a little bit of a range buff just in case. After a while, the bulletproof zombies appeared. I got the 3rd bottom path upgrade that gives Ghost a lot of damage, but Ghost was still barely making a dent in these zombies. It was super annoying, but we survived until Super Heavy Zombie appeared. The Super Heavy Zombie had way more health than the bulletproofs with a whopping 500 HP and had bullet resistance. So you remember when I said we would need drones for the bulletproof zombies? Well, I used Commander's APCs to kill it. Despite me saying I could only deal damage with Ghosts, I may have cheated a bit, but I assure you, in the later games, I don't do any of that stuff. After the mess up that I was using Commander to kill the bulletproofs, I got a drone this time, and the bulletproofs weren't that hard to deal with anymore. There really isn't much to say because the rest of the waves were so easy that I started to get greedy and upgrade all of my farms to max level. So I'll skip to an interesting part. On wave 29, the Predator appeared. This was the perfect time to really test out Ghost's main ability, her stealth. I placed a couple of grenade ghosts and a couple of normal stealth ghosts, and sure enough, they mostly got ignored. I say mostly because the Predator must have really good eyes. Because he would literally see through invisibility and shoot the towers. The wave itself was super easy since our DPS was very good, but it wasn't much more than that. On wave 32, the Eradicator appeared, and let me tell you, he got absolutely smoked. With most of my ghosts being stealth, he had nothing to even attack because he just couldn't see anything. However, an interesting thing I noticed was that the second phase roar actually took the ghosts out of their stealth state, which was kind of annoying, but we killed them anyway. Next up, we have Elite. As always, I placed the Ghost. This time, I went for the X3 upgrade as more damage would would be a lot more beneficial in this mode due to the higher density of strong zombies. Though Elite was quite uneventful with barely any zombies ever really making a break through my defense until, well, wave 20, where I almost leaked an abomination. This was quite concerning as abominations were plentiful in this mode. So I got to work on my defense. I got more ghosts to make sure I survived. I really gotta give credit where it's due. Commander's Call to Arms ability was super clutch in this mode. With this incredible 30% damage buff, I was able to make it through a lot of waves. Not to mention EDJ's fire rate buff ability combined with the Call of Arms ability racked up huge numbers in DPS. On wave 23, we leaked a bunch of radioactive zombies, so I placed some ghosts in the back to kill them. But since I was busy doing that, I had completely lost my attention for the front line. Wave 24 had an insane amount of strong zombies, and it was starting to get very difficult to defend. So I did what any man desperate to survive would do, spam drones. Which actually worked out. We had been going pretty well up until wave 27, where a single multiplier multiplied this many zombies into existence. I dare anyone in the comments to try and count how many abominations are in this clip, because holy damn is it a lot. Sadly, the massive abomination horde breached my defenses, and my elite run was ended just like that. The reason there were this many abominations? Most likely the drone, since the drone always kills the highest priority target. You might have thought the multipliers were high priority targets or something? I don't know. But besides that, elite really wasn't that bad for just ghosts and sports only. Expert has the same problem as intermediate, the bulletproofs. In fact, the bulletproofs appear a lot more this time, and as I said, I can't use the commander APCs, so the only option left is to save up for the drone, right? Well, wrong, because you don't have enough money to get it before you die. Trust me, I tried. I skipped almost every wave, but to no avail. Now, if I tried this in maybe an extremely long map like High Rise, would work, but it would only let me survive a bit, because the zombies from the waves I skipped would kill me, and since the drone has such a long cooldown, I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So, unfortunately, expert just isn't possible with only ghost. On to endless, and this was by far the most interesting, but also the saddest. As usual, I placed the ghost, and I went for the drone upgrade right out of the bat, since they would be very useful later on. However, in between getting that upgrade, we leaked a little bit. I thankfully saved it with another ghost. The ghost is exceptionally good for early to mid game, but she definitely falls off late game, so I made sure to make good use of her in the first 25 waves. In this wave, the disposal has caused a bit of a problem, but thanks to the ghost's good cost efficiency, we were able to get by. A bit later, I got Commander and EDJ. These two's buffs would stack, which meant I would have insane DPS with all of the ghosts combined. On wave 20, an armored tank appeared, one of the tankier enemies in Endless, so I activated Call to Arms and the EDJ Encore ability, which allowed me to kill it super fast. Why am I mentioning this, you say? Well, remember those bulletproof enemies that caused us to die in Expert? Well, the armored tank has a 25% bullet resistance. The ghost can still absolutely destroy the armored tank despite it negating 25% of its damage. On wave 25, the Plague Doctor appeared, which was so chaotic I couldn't even get any cool shots. I spammed a lot of drone ghosts and it worked out. But one thing worth mentioning is the Plague Guardians alongside Plague Doctor. They summon enemies that are way stronger than Plague Doctor summons, and they're extremely annoying if not dealt with. They unironically make me want to pick them up and put them under a hydraulic press. Waves 20 to 30 were fairly smooth, and Revived Plague Doctor went by surprisingly quickly. But this would all change a few waves later when wave 34 started. The multipliers with revived mutated zombies proved quite challenging to beat since my stupid drones killed the multiplier first, making the multiplied revived mutators rush all the way through my army of ghosts straight into the base. Okay, so when I place the drones, they kill the multiplier first, leading to my death. What if I just don't do that? So I revived it this time because I knew we could actually win. And then I placed drones again for some reason. I have no idea what I was thinking placing them again, but hey, it worked out. I barely survived. On wave 35, the Eradicator with his avatars and predators appeared. I simply spammed drones and the ghosts made quick work of them. However, on wave 40, things would take a drastic turn because Eradicator Mark II decimated almost all of my ghosts, leaving me broke. So I did what any man desperate to survive would do. Spam drones! But it didn't work at all this time. I instead died. It was quite anticlimactic actually. The ghost, as I said, is just not cut out for late game defense, man. The ghost plays more of a support DPS role as she can stuff other towers that can actually kill the bosses. Even the drone is simply just to kill threatening targets, not to do DPS. So if you wanna buy her, just know that she's no better than just being a power creep operator. It's harsh, but it's the truth. So what did we learn from this? Use Golden Ranger because ghosts trap.